I am very passionate about the Moto Guzzi brand and have a few in my personal collection, and it's been a dream of mine to go visit the home of Moto Guzzi, which is in Mandello del Lario. So please join me in this video as I travel to Lake Como and visit the headquarters of Moto Guzzi in Mandello del Lario. Even when you travel in the streets, you can see the name everywhere. Look above. The Moto Guzzi name illuminated at night, and behind it the 1921 to 2021 celebrating 100 years of this brand. Traveling closer to the factory, the traffic circle has the name Mandello del Lario, and above it a stainless steel sculpture of that very iconic Moto Guzzi V8 500 Grand Prix racer. Even as you travel into the town, either side of this tunnel or the bridge is the Moto Guzzi sign with the eagle above it. Finally, I'm here, Italy, Mandello del Lario, and I'm at the home of Moto Guzzi, the birthplace and still the headquarters today. 101-year-old this year, this brand, and it is just brilliant to be standing at the main gates of Moto Guzzi. As I said, 2021 last year, 100-year-old this brand, and still going strong, and I cannot wait to get behind these doors and experience the passion firsthand, get to see the gems of the past and just live this brand, because as you walk through this beautiful town, you see Moto Guzzi everywhere. You see artist depictions over here. As you go through, you see people ride their Moto Guzzi. Stores have flags outside, and it's just the passion and the loyalty to this brand. You can clearly see these people are proud. The Lake Como inhabitants are proud of this Moto Guzzi brand, and it's part of their heritage. As we climb up the staircase, we can see the first motorcycle already. This is not a Moto Guzzi, but the model's actually called a Guzzi Parodi. The reason being, the legend began with this bike. It was built by Carlo Guzzi, but it was financed by Giorgio Parodi. The company Moto Guzzi was then founded in March of 1921, on the 15th of March 1921. Here is the overhead view of the whole company at the area. Here's the red gate we entered. We went down that passage into this building, and the second and third floor is where the museum is. If you look, that's where the red gate is. And if you go to the right of the area, at the back, you will see is the wind tunnel. Now, Moto Guzzi is a company of many firsts, and yes, it was the first motorcycle manufacturer to use a wind tunnel. Here you see a model of it. The air goes in there, the motorcycle is strapped down, the wind blows through, the technicians can monitor how the streamlining works. The turbines suck the air through and blow it out the back. It simulates speeds up to 225 kilometers per hour. This is the first hall we entered into. We cannot go through each bike individually because it'll take us all day, but we'll have a look at some of the beautifully restored machines, some of the special pieces in the history. Starting with this one, it was produced between 1921 and 24. It's called a Normale. This red bike is a GT Norge, produced between 1928 and 1930. Look at the attention to detail on this bike. Here we have a 2VT 500 produced between 1931 and 1934. A GTS 500 produced between 1934 and 1940. A Moto Leggera 65cc Guccino produced between 1946 to 1954. It weighs 45 kilograms and goes 50 kilometers per hour. Here is a 250 Aironi produced between 1939 and 1957. There is what they refer to as a salami slicer, the external flywheel. Here is an Aironi Turismo produced between 1939 and 1957. Again, you can see that external flywheel which looks like a salami slicer. Two Galetto scooters, a 192 on the left and a 175 on the right, produced between 52 and 66. The Falcone Turismo 500cc produced between 53 and 67. The Nuovo Falcone produced between 70 and 76. Next up is a pair of Zigolos. The grey one is the early one, 1953 to 59. Zigolo 110 for the red one. And you can see the early one has the friction damper at the back. The later one, the 110, has the dual coil suspension. The grey one is similar to the one we have in our collection. The Stornello Turismo 125 produced between 60 and 67. Next is the Stornello Sport America produced between 67 and 69. There is a Stornello Scrambler produced between 71 and 72. Next up are three scooters, the Trotters, the 66 and the 70 to 73 Trotter Special and 70 to 73 Mark M Trotter. Here we have a V7 Special of 1969, a 850 GT of 72 to 74, California 850 produced between 71 and 74, California 850 produced between 81 and 87, a California 3 produced in 1987. And a California 3 with a full fairing, also produced in 1987. Here we have Falcone Nuovo Turismo Police Bike 66, Nuovo Falcone Polizia 70 to 76, Polizia Stradale, which is the Metro Police. Next is a V7 Militare produced between 67 and 69, a 1000 Convert California Polizia, a V50 Militare NATO 1983. Next up is a V65 Polizia Municipale 1987. A TS850 Carabinieri, which is police in Italian, 1986. A Norge Polizia Stradale 2008 model. Next up is a Norge 4V Polizia Locale Milano 2010 for the Milan Police. Hall number 3 we enter, you see a whole bunch of V35s, next to that a V35 Imola, then you have the V35 Custom, looks like a chopper, V35 Imola 2 from 1984 to 89. Here we have a V65, next to it a V65 SP of 81 to 86. Then you have a V65 MTX from 86 to 87. This was produced, more of an off-road bike, Scrambler, Enduro. Next is a V75. All bikes have the 90-degree air and oil-cooled transversely mounted motor. As you can see, that iconic motor has been in production forever and a day. All these models have this motor. V75 Targa of 1994 to 97. And there the motor as well on all these models, whether it's Scramblers, off-roads or Enduros. Here is one of my favorite bikes of all time, the V7 Sport of 1971 to 74. It's the most desirable and most probably the most valuable of V7s. It started the whole red frame and the races as we have them today, produced from 2010 again, 2012 first edition up to 2020 races. Next up, the 850 Le Mans 1, 2 and 3, produced between 1981 to 85, the Le Mans 3. Then you have the 1000 produced between 84 to 87, the 1000S produced in 1989, and this red bike right here is the Daytona RS, produced from 1996 to 2001. We have reviewed it in one of our previous episodes. We found one in South Africa, and this is the Italians' onslaught onto the dominance of the Japanese World Superbikes, and together with Ducati's 851 and 888 and the Moto Guzzi Daytona RS, they took them on. Then we have a couple of V10s, 3 of them. This is a Lodola, produced in 1959. Next to that is a Stornello 125, produced between 60 to 74. Next to that is a Stornello 125, the 62 model. As you can see, these are all Scramblers. Now you have the Paris-Dakar 750, manufactured in 1986, a proper Paris-Dakar bike. And yet again, look at that transversely mounted air and oil-cooled motor. That is the V65 Baja of 1985. Here we have a pair of record breakers. This red one is called the 75 record, produced in 1950, and it achieved 22 records in France. The one next to it is called a Moto Leggera 65, produced in 1948, and that set 27 records at Monza. Here we have a C2V 500 Grand Prix race in 23 to 27, a SS250 from 1928, a 250cc from 1942 to 52, then a 350 GP Racer 1955. 350 GP Racer also 1955, and you can see that iconic dustbin fairing as they referred it for streamlining. Another 350 GP Racer of 1956, this one fully restored. Now as we walk around the corner, here we have the holy grail of motorcycles, in my opinion. The Italian name for it is the Otto Cilindri 500, which is an 8-cylinder, a V8 motor of 500cc capacity, a MotoGP racer, 500cc, produced between 1955 to 1957. There were only 6 ever built and 5 survive today. 2 are in museums, this being one of those 2, and 3 more are in private hands, and one of the 3 actually belongs to the original designer's son. Now have a look at that, handmade bikes, and just exquisite and iconic. And if you remember that traffic circle as you enter Mandello del Lario, that stainless steel sculpture is of this bike. Also, the 100-year celebration, Moto Guzzi made a V85, a V7 and a V9 in the Centenario colors. That's where the green, the silver tank and the brown seat comes from. The Centenario colors come directly off this bike. And that would be clue number 2 to our tribute bike that we are doing. I'll do another episode on the tribute bike, the custom build we are busy doing. Here we have the modern racer, 750 V7 record 1969, a 850 Boulder Ore 77, and a Guard Enduro 82, and a Daytona 1000R of 1989, and another Daytona 1000. Here we have the MGS 01, produced between 2004 and 2011. Only approximately 150 units were built. It's a Corsa, a race bike only, transverse air and oil-cooled motor as per all of them, developed further from the Daytona, open final drive shaft. So they stay true to the transverse motor final shaft drive. Here you can see it's an open shaft. Here are some other nice memorabilia, helmets of the day, and an Isle of Man race suit, 500cc, 2-cylinder, 1933 to 1951 motorcycle racer next to it, and a statue of Omobono Tenni from 1905 to 1948, one of the legendary Moto Guzzi racers. Here we have a military sidecar, 1942 to 43, 500cc. Here we have another utility vehicle for snow with the tracks in the back. Going down to the ground floor, we have the hall that holds the models of today. The Stelvio of 2011, Stelvio of 2008. The Norge, next up is 1200 Sport. Then you have a Breva 1200. You have two Grizzos, 2007, Grizzo 2005. The Villaggio 2007 to 2012. Then you have the V9 Bobber with the Centenario Anniversario colors. Here you can see the green, silver and brown as per the V8 Racer. The V9 Roma. Then you have the 100 years of models throughout the ages. The 750 Nevada, a V7 Stornello of 2016, V7 Speciale, V7 Racer 10th anniversary, V7 Racer 2010, that's the very first of the racers to come back, red frame. And over here we have the V85 TT Tutto-Terrano All-Terrain of 2019. Behind this wall we have the California Touring of 2012. Next to that the Eldorado 2015, the Audace 2015, and finally the Flying Fortress MGX 21 of 2016. As we walk outside, just next to the building, you have this souvenir shop, and they have everything Moto Guzzi related. Then we walked through town to get a pizza. We were hungry now, and as we looked for a pizza and walked into this little shop, you have to see the inside. Inside you can just see Vespa parts, all Piaggio. You have motor heads, you have exhaust pipe, header pipes, all memorabilia. You have half an engine mounted against the wall, and the coolest piece of all is if you order a beer, it's served straight out of a transverse Moto Guzzi air and oil cooled motor. Here you go, that's how you get your draft. Walking through the town, you see Moto Guzzi's at 1200 Sport. These are guys visiting from Holland, from Belgium, all over, just touring. Walking through town, just taking in the scenery. Here we see a V9 Bobber. Beautiful area around Lake Como, and as we're walking through town, here's a marble statue, and as I walk around, it is of a racing manager holding a stopwatch and a book keeping lap times on a pit wall. Marble statue, and here you go again, depicted, that V8 racer. You can see it on the motor. The whole town is so proud of that Moto Guzzi and associates with that brand. Now we just spent some time walking around Mandello del Lario, taking in the sights and looking at Lake Como. I went for a little drive around Lake Como because I wanted to just do a reconnaissance trip to see what the roads are like, because I've been told these are fantastic roads to tour around on a Moto Guzzi. So maybe that has to be the next on our bucket list. Unfortunately, all good things have to come to an end, and at the end of the day I had to travel back to my hotel. But I hope you enjoyed this video with us. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, a like, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to help me build the channel, and the reminder bell so you always know when I'm uploading new content.